You are watching Dream Big with Zhanna, inspiring you to reignite, refire, and refuel your life. And what a perfect day today! Today is the day at the beginning of 2018. We're still in January, and I have my friend and my best, like friend, colleague, you name it, soulmate, Randall Dobbins. And you can see him on the screen. We did a couple of interviews with you, Randall, in the past year, and it was very successful. Now you're growing, your company is growing, and you're such a pro at what you do. And we decided to throw some more light into dreaming big, and we titled it Think Big. It's actually coming from Randall. Think big and do big in 2018. So, for those of you who are seeing Randall for the first time, let me give you a brief intro into kind of like his backstory, what he's all about. So, Randall, I'm going to be reading a little bit from his official bio. So, for over 10 years, Randall Dobbins has been instructing diverse suppliers from around the world on what it really takes to be successful in contracting with the largest companies in the world. Not only teaching them what it takes to get contracts, but what it really takes to compete at the highest levels possible, and thereby allowing diverse suppliers to enjoy the business success they hope. Randall is a business owner, so he's an entrepreneur, and he was a national accounts manager for one of the world's largest distributors whose accounts were Fortune 100 companies. He developed a proven a proven system for generating huge client value and won an unfair share of large national contracts. In his experience, it is his experience of a buyer, seller, and entrepreneur that makes the business partner programs, all of them, different from anything you will ever come across. So if you're in business, yeah, I highly recommend that you listen to this interview because we're gonna dive right in. And Randall, thank you for being with us on the show.
Thank you for having me, Zhanna. Happy New Year.
Thank you, and Happy New Year to you. Big dreams, big deeds, and all these hopes and dreams. But let's get into the practicalities on that. What do you really mean by think big and do big?
Well, first, let me just give the listeners a little bit of backstory. So you read my bio, and of course, I've had an amazing professional career, but then I started my business. And so I, thought I'd gotten into all the right organizations and whatnot, and I'm getting ready to make this pitch to a large company. And the lady looks at me and she says, Randall, if you're honest with yourself, you're going to realize you're not big enough to do business with us. And I'm like, wait a minute. Don't you know my professional background? Don't you know the systems that I put together? And so once I got past my shock later on that night, I had to admit she was right. I hadn't yet done the work as a business owner to demonstrate to a large corporate client. This was one of the top 10 oil and gas companies that I was ready to go after their biggest books of business. And it wasn't that I wasn't smart, that I wasn't capable, that I didn't know my stuff. It was more of my organization didn't look like it was ready to handle that kind of business. So the answer to your question, now that I've gotten into this, figured that whole thing out, and am ready to, at soaring at the highest levels under the category of think big, do big, it is we as entrepreneurs started our business because there was something we wanted to achieve, and we wanted to make as much impact as possible. Some of us do this because, if we just want to fund a lifestyle, if we only want to fund, a $100, $200, $300, $400, $500,000 a year lifestyle, and we don't want the complication that comes with anything bigger than that, then, there's a space in here for that. But when we really say we want to make the most impact in this world from our gifts and our talents, then it's not only think big, it's do big. So what does it look like to really do big, to make that maximum impact, to serve that, our purpose and fulfill our heart-based missions like we said we want to do. So now it's, can we put the actions in place to match the vision, the dreams?
Yes.
That's what we mean by think big, do big.
So yes, good. I love that. So what are the opportunities? Can you tell us more about the opportunities to join and merge with the big companies? What's the whole shebang about that? And how do people start? Where to start? And how big they have to be in order even to start thinking about getting the first contract with a corporation or a bigger company?
Well, you're never too small to start thinking about approaching the big boys. And let's kind of put this in the
love that. I love that. Randall, say it again.
You're never too small to start thinking about going after the big boys.
Yes. Okay. Period. So awesome. Bingo.
Right. Well, and let's put it in the context. The U.S. government is about they have a $4 or $5 trillion budget. Now, if you're government, you spend every single dollar. As a matter of fact, in the US, you're spending dollars you don't actually take in, but that's a separate conversation. Mm-hmm. Now, and the US economy is currently at about a $16 trillion economy. And what I mean by that is the value of the goods and services produced in just the US alone is about 16, 17, 18 trillion dollars. Now, I give that for our, domestic listeners to kind of get a sense of how big this opportunity is, and let's describe it. Mm-hmm. The Fortune 500 companies spend $27 trillion every year. The Fortune 500 in the U.S. alone, this excludes Volkswagen, Toyota, those kinds of folks. It does include Walmart, ExxonMobil, Dell, and folks like that. That's a $12 trillion of spend annually. And what you have to understand with corporations is it makes no sense for them to sit on money. Their whole existence is to spend $1 and make it make $1 and $1.25, $1.50, $2, $3. It's no different than you and me as business owners. Every dollar you spend, you're hoping you make more than you spent.
Yes, right? Of course. Uh-huh.
It's no different. So the thing that gets confusing with people is they say, well, I don't know what they buy. I don't know if they buy my product. Well, I mean, let's really and truly think about that. With $27 trillion, they're buying something. Okay. So let's give people a good sense of this. You and I don't really go direct to the farm to buy produce, right? Yeah. So who are farmers selling into? They're selling into corporations, right? You and I don't really buy directly from consultants, right? Who are consulting services sold to? Primarily corporations, okay? Mm-hmm. So corporations buy pretty much everything. It's just a matter of figuring out which segment. If you're in the automobile segment, you're buying a certain set of products and services. If you're in Silicon Valley with computer companies, you're buying another set of products and services, but you're buying some of everything. And now when you start looking at the green economy, when you start looking at more social awareness, people are buying more things around coaching and helping us to be better people and to communicate more of what typically used to be called soft skills, but that's more important to making sure you have an inclusive workplace. So they're buying that, those services are not being donated. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So they buy some of everything. The issue that I find for most entrepreneurs is doing the homework to figure out which corporate segments is the best fit for their product and service. This is not an issue of do corporations buy what I sell. It's a question of which target corporations are the best fit for what I'm looking to offer.
Amazing. So basically they buy pretty much everything. So whatever segment you don't so tell me tell us more about what you do right now in your business. And I know there is an event that you're putting together, right? So I want to know more about that, because if you guys are whoever is listening and watching, if you are planning on growing and want to explore more opportunities on how to do that, Randall is the guy to go to. And so it seems like it doesn't matter what type of business people are in, you can still find a way to grow bigger when you partner up with the corporations. Am I right?
Yep. With one minor thing, people do have to be conscious of what it is the corporation buys versus what it is the corporation's employees would buy. All right. Let's take an extreme example. You're probably not going to get a mani-pedi contract with Google.
Right.
All right.
Well,
but you could probably set up shop right across from Google, and you could probably get a boatload of business from Google employees.
okay.
Let's take that one a little. I mean, this is an extreme example, but we're using it to illustrate a point. Let's take a massage therapist. Now, a massage therapist could probably make a good case to walk into Google and say, hey, is anybody offering this as a service throughout the day? Because Google probably has research that shows that a relaxed employee is more productive. A massage therapist probably has a whole library of literature that talks about the health benefits of muscle therapy. Okay. And they could make that case to somebody in Google, whether it's an occupational therapist, whether it's an HR person, whether it's whatever Google's department is, and they can say, this is something that you need to have in the facility, along with those sleeping beds. And there's a potential that not only could you sell it direct to Google, but you could sell it to their employees to come to your office after the fact. So just, you kind of have to just say, is this something the corporation would do? Or is this something that their employees would go after? So that's the only distinction that I would caution people to make. But I don't want to discourage the mani-pedi shops. Like, hey, look, if you go to Google and convince them that there's a good reason why they need to make sure you're on their premises and you can make it stick, they're probably open to it.
Well, they will. There is always a way. It's just what's the smartest way to go about it. So, and that leads me to the question about what people, because I understand, in this half an hour interview, it's impossible to get all and to answer all the questions. So usually I would go, if that was up to me. I think you're doing an event in Austin. Is it?
Yes.
Is it in Austin, Texas?
Yes.
So I want to hear more about what the content of the event. Who is the event for? Is it for all these business owners? What exactly are you going to be doing inside the event? So if you guys are in the area, or if you are interested, like Randall, I can tell you, Randall is a master at what he's doing. You already understand that. And so can you throw more light like on the event? What's the event all about, and what can people get? What's the benefit of going there?
Absolutely, and thanks for asking. The short answer to that question is this: the question is not whether or not corporations buy. It's not even whether an issue they buy from us. And what I mean by us is what I call diverse suppliers: women business owners, minority business owners, gay, lesbian business owners, veteran business owners, disabled business owners. This is not a question of whether they buy. It's, what does it take for us to get in, because we're an underserved community in corporate contracting. Mm-hmm. They right now are aggressively setting goals for us to get 3, 10, 15% of that $27 trillion. And I say aggressive. Now that's kind of sad, because we make up 60% of the global population, but we have less than 3 to 5% of that spend. Something's just wrong with that. If you throw women in, that's 51% of the population right alone.
Yeah.
And so the gap is most of us don't know how to sell into this market. That's the gap. We just don't know what we don't know. And like any market, you have to know how to navigate it. And in the 3 days at Blueprint Live 2018, you can get more information at blueprintlive2018.com. We're going to walk you through in detail what you need to know to sell into this market. And we're going to start at the basics. What really and truly is your core business? And how do you talk to a corporation that makes them want it? And then how do you offer the products and services the way they want to buy it? And then if you think about the story that I mentioned to you, that I personally had about being told I wasn't big enough, how do you handle that situation? Because that's the killer condition right there. If you can successfully get through the first two, you got something they want, you're selling it the way they want it, then the killer condition is if you're not ready when the opportunity comes. And that's a problem for the vast majority of us. 90% of us aren't ready. So we're going to walk through what it takes to actually be ready for the contract when it comes. Now, once you know this, you're set, you're good to go. If you decide that, hey, look, going after 100,000, 500,000, a million, 10 million, $100 million contracts is not what you want, then what you learn from this, you can use in whatever markets you want to go after, because a lot of this is it's stuff that you didn't learn in kindergarten, you didn't learn in college, and you hadn't learned from the school of hard knocks.
Right. Yes. So it's just like your bio says, it's from the experience of you being on both, actually all three sides of it, the entrepreneur, the seller, and the buyer. So you know in and outs of the market, and you navigate it successfully. So how realistic is it? Let's say I go to the event, and after the event, I decide, oh, I want to do it in 2018. Can I still do it in this year? Like to get the contract or to start the process? Well, you can start the process, but how long does it usually take from the beginning until the end? Assuming that you've done all the homework with your help.
So there's two answers to that question. The first one is the obvious answer. You get out of it what you put into it. And in this case, it's not you get out of the workshop what you put into it. This is you get out of the system what you put into it, which is why we also address some mindset issues, because a lot of the roadblocks we put in front of ourselves start right here. So,
95%.
There you go. See, you know the number.
Yes, I've been there.
So in 3 days, we got some work to do on that as well. But realistically, you can get a pretty substantial contract this year if you follow the process, really and truly. There are some people that are coming where they've already gotten corporate clients in their business plan for this year. They just want to get a more solid plan. So there are some people that are coming with the expectation that within the first quarter, they expect to land some. So they've done a little bit of groundwork already. This is just helping them get more precision. But for anybody that's in that situation, this is a great time to come. We're going to be in week 2 of the new year.
Exactly.
So a lot of runway. But if you're thinking this is something that you're going to do in second quarter or the second half of 2018, definitely you need to come. Now's the time, and this is the plan.
So you say, well, first of all, what are the dates? It's coming up this weekend, right?
The 12th through the 14th
of January, right?
Correct. And since Monday is Dr. King's birthday, then people have the day off if you don't have to go into the office on Monday. So
I see. So you can stay for one more day and have time, have quality time with Randall Dobbins.
Absolutely. It's in a fantastic facility in Austin. And it's just going to be amazing. We are super excited. My team is coming in. We're still doing some planning. We have the workshop design completed. We've got all the other things worked out, and we're just ready for folks to come and what we call it is the vast majority of us spend time working in our business. There's always something to do in our business. This is take 3 days to work on your business.
Business, which is hugely, hugely important. Exactly. So,
Right.
what's the website again? It's www.
Blueprintlive2018.com.
And we'll put it in the comments right after the video. So if you guys are in the area or it's actually worth flying in. If you're really, really ready to think big and do big in 2018. So Randall, it's been a pleasure to have you. And so as always, at the end of the interview, I'm asking the same question to all my guests. What is this one gem out of your treasure chest that you can share with everybody who is watching and listening today?
For this bit, well, the first gem, and I apologize for having two of them. but
no apologies accepted. Yeah, spill all the gems, Zhanna.
but the first one is stay encouraged and stay in action. One of the biggest challenges for us as business owners is when things don't go according to plan, it's easy to get discouraged. But stay encouraged. We've set the intention. We're going to do big. So stay in intention.
Musical clock. I'm gonna mute myself, but please finish.
So by all means, stay encouraged and stay in action. Do not let a setback cause you to slow down and stop moving. So stay encouraged, stay in action. And then regarding what we're talking about today, I want to talk about your value proposition. And in this case, it is you want to make sure that when you talk to a potential corporate client, that you say it from the perspective of, is this something that they would say is valuable?
Mm-hmm.
We all know what we want to sell, but we don't necessarily know whether or not the person listening to us would say that's valuable to them. So that would be the big tip. It's like, if you know that somebody would say, yep, that's valuable to me, then you've done two things. One, you've identified your true target customer, but more importantly, you've identified the people for which you're not a good fit for.
Yeah, that's huge. That's huge. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. So, ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Dream Big with Zhanna, inspiring you to reignite, refire, and refuel your life. And today, our guest was Randall Dobbins, the amazing Randall Dobbins, and the real pro in what he's doing. So if you are ready to get your first contract with the big guys, as he calls it, then he is the one to go. You look for the comments. You can find that video in very soon. It's going to be on YouTube. Just go to Zhanna Shpits YouTube, and the video is going to be there. If you have questions for Randall or myself, please comment below the video, and we'll see you next time. Happy 2018, and Randall, thank you.
Thank you, Zhanna. Appreciate you.
Me too. I appreciate that. I appreciate you in everything. Okay, in my life, professionally, personally. Yeah, thank you, Randall. Bye.